All right, welcome back to the show. I'm joined today by one of my best friends, teacher, husband, father, front man for Lost Generation, Mr. Jason Squier. How's it going, buddy?
I'm glad to be back. I think it's been 2 years. I almost ruined the whole podcast. So
Been a long time. You have been in the very intermittent version of this podcast, the most featured guest. You're the only return guest, aren't you?
I'm 3 times now.
That's right.
I feel pretty good about this.
Get your picture up on the wall.
Yes. Employee of the month.
So we're just kind of keep the same format and kind of chat through things. So the first segment we've been doing is a segment called Good News. And it's kind of where I feature a charitable organization or find a good news story. And the one I found this week, we're going to be talking about food this episode. So I found an organization called The Food Group. They're based out of Minnesota. So their website is thefoodgroupmn.org. And they're a nonprofit focused on, quote from their website, nutritious food to strengthen community. And it looks like they serve 32 counties in both Minnesota and Wisconsin. And they have like a food shelf, meal program, healthy, affordable groceries, and even farmer education for organic farming. So that's kind of just our good news story for today.
I like it. I like that they have healthy, affordable food, because a lot of times they talk about, unfortunately, with people in poverty, usually it's a lower quality food with higher caloric count, but a lower quality of food for people.
No doubt. I thought that for sure, and that's something I've discovered and we'll get into a little bit just with like my dietary restrictions and stuff. You sometimes don't think of, in the Midwest specifically, as being sort of a food desert. They talk about that, where like we don't always have a ton of, and I wouldn't call it a food desert in terms of like there's food readily available. It's all farms around here, but there's not so much the more organic or like those sorts of things. And if you are low income, there's a lot of low income in the Midwest, your options are generally not super healthy food.
Very true.
And we've talked about even how we grew up, not that we were impoverished, but we grew up lower middle class. We did not grow up with really great diets.
I am the poster child of eating like an 80s kid. And I still am. And I'm 41 years old.
Like, I remember the kids' cuisine TV dinners.
Oh, yeah.
That was like a staple of our just meals growing up, with the microwave pudding that would be 1,000 degrees, but your entree would still be cold in the middle.
I was going to say, that's the thing with like those types of meals in general. Like, the dessert should be my favorite part. I did not like the desserts because a lot of it's like, I don't want hot pudding. That's disgusting.
No, they were never very good. Even if it was like a brownie or something. Yeah. It wasn't like a real brownie.
Nope.
But I would get super excited when we would have them, though, the kids' cuisines.
What was your favorite kind?
Man, honestly, I don't remember. Like, I don't remember the entrees well enough.
I feel like there was a sliced turkey and like a gravy. I think that was mine.
Sounds right.
I didn't like the chicken drumstick one, but that sliced turkey one was probably
How do you say it? I think the drumstick was probably my favorite. But, yeah, I mostly have the hot dessert burned into my head.
And into your mouth.
But I even think, like, when we would go and do something, like we didn't have a lot of money, like we weren't going to go on vacations or go do big activities, but like you could always spend a couple bucks like going to the gas station and getting like some Little Debbie's or Hostess treats or something like that. It's like, I remember it was like a big thing for us was getting like the 44-ounce Coca-Cola from the fountain and then like fudge rounds.
Yes.
Like the chocolate cookies with the chocolate frosting. And then like the Nutter Bars or whatever they're called, like the wafers that people are. Like that was my thing because those were like 50 cents each or something. And
what needs to come back, and Hostess, I know you're listening to this podcast, the pressure's on you. I want my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pudding pie that is green on the outside and vanilla pudding on the inside back. All my favorite foods have come back except for that one.
That is a good point. There's been a big trend of like those 80s and specifically 90s foods coming back. And I feel like in some way you have spearheaded this movement.
I have tried as much as I can.
For years you've been talking about things like Crystal Clear Pepsi and Surge and whatever, and they've all come back in some form.
Ecto Cooler, Dunkaroos have come back.
I saw. I didn't realize Dunkaroos were back until the kids and I were on vacation. We stopped in a gas station. I was like, Dunkaroos? Like, just continues.
Nothing's better than a dry cookie and some frosting. That's what I say. So yeah, if I would get the Ninja Turtle pudding pie, and all of you who are listening, just look it up. You will see it looks disgusting, tastes delicious.
I forgot all about that. That also makes it reminds me. So I grew up in Mason City, north end of Mason City. They had, what was it, like the Wonder Bread or something, little outlet? You know what I'm talking about? Was it Wonder Bread or what was it?
Yep.
And you would go there, and it was like, for people unfamiliar, it was like the Nike outlet, but for like cheap baked goods.
And it was open until, I want to say, until the last 10 years. I mean,
it was for a long time. It was awesome. You'd go there, it was just like kind of bins of...
It was the stuff close to expiration.
Yeah, and it was great. But yeah, you get those little Hostess pies and stuff. I forgot all about the Ghostbusters ones. That's pretty awesome. Or the Ninja Turtles ones.
Ninja Turtles.
Ghostbusters, the Ecto Cooler.
It came with a sticker, too. That was the best part. So
that is pretty solid.
If that comes back, I'm done. All my nostalgia is good.
So yeah, but back to the food group. I do appreciate that. They're trying to build community and serve people who are hungry, but a focus is on nutrition. And I like, too, I've kind of gotten more and more interested in them as I dig through their website a little bit more, that they have the farmer education programs, too, talking about, like, organic types of farmings and stuff like that. And I don't think that all farming necessarily needs to be that. I understand, big industry of it, but, like, it's nice to have organic options around here. I like organic options myself. It's often very expensive and not always readily available. And it looks like they partner with local farms and stuff too to get the produce that they're doing. So that's pretty cool. It's nice to have something like that, not super local to us, but in the Midwest more. Like when I was out visiting friends in Pacific Northwest, a lot more of that out there. Like some of my friends, it's called like Imperfect Produce. They subscribe to that. So it's like the box shows up at your door and it's like the produce that wouldn't be on the shelf at the grocery store because it's got little imperfections or it's weird looking, but it's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. So then that, like, you can get it and they deliver it to your house. So
it's a good thing. Cuts down on food waste.
Yeah. So that brings us into the next segment, which is where I usually talk about, like, the blog post, whatever I'm writing about, thinking about for the week. Again, tied into food. And I thought this would be a fun one to talk about with you, Jason, because I've talked about before plenty of times. I had some health problems, bacterial infection, couldn't eat a lot of stuff. Basically had to relearn to eat, sort of. Like, started over with rice mush like a baby. And over the course of a few years, reintroduce things and stuff like that. But maybe my two biggest pushers for wanting me to be able to eat things are my 9-year-old daughter Claire and you.
I'm happy. That is a high category person to be in, which is good.
Yeah.
I did get you to try Surge while you were very sick.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it ties into when Surge came back out. Because if you were, I don't know, I mean, if you grew up when we grew up in kind of, I will say, the socioeconomic group that we grew into, Surge was a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. It was so good. This Mountain Dew just ramped up.
Yeah. It looked like antifreeze, and the commercials, maybe some of the best commercials ever.
The epitome of the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
Yes.
They just set out the can of Surge and yell Surge.
Surge!
And everyone would run crazy to get the can of Surge. So we drank a lot of Surge. So when was it like a limited time release of Surge?
It's weird. You can still get Surge, actually.
Okay.
But it was when it first came back out. At that time, Amazon, I think, had the exclusive initial sales, and it was actually fairly decent price. So I bought a case of it, and you were still not feeling good at all. But I told you I got it, and you were like, "I have to try it." So
yeah, we thought, wouldn't it be great if that was the thing that like cured me?
Yes, I was hoping so, but
the magic elixir that is Surge. But anyway,
how many years has it been?
I got sick. Well, kind of the health problems started November of 2013. I got really sick December 2013. So,
and we're pushing 8 years already.
Yeah,
so.
which is kind of funny. I was just on the phone today. So I'm just re-upping my life insurance. That's all.
Yep.
Because I've had my original life insurance policy for a number of years. I wanted to extend it, so make sure my kids are covered for a long time. But, do the little phone interview thing first, your health stuff, before they set up, like, the little physical draw your blood thing. And part of the reason I'm re-upping it now is because I'm healthy again now, other than, watching my diet and stuff. So it's like, well, now's a good time to do it. And it's kind of funny, though, because for most of the phone interview, you're like, I sound pretty solid. You're like, do you smoke? No. Don't drink? No. You're like, all this stuff. And then it's like, okay, have you in the past, had surgeries, this, the history of, gastrointestinal issues? Then it's like, I'd be like,
you're like, let me get the book open.
I literally did, which is it was kind of a nice experience. I pulled out the old file folder that I had been keeping when I was going to like University of Iowa hospitals and Mayo Clinic and all that. And it was a nice like revisit of like, I haven't gotten this out in a couple years. And like, that's pretty awesome. Because there was like a long time where I'm just documenting stuff to try to get things figured out. And like, here was the next procedure, here was the next surgery. So like, it was kind of great to be on the other side of it and be like, oh yeah, this is when I had this, but not dealing with it directly anymore. But it was kind of funny to like have to stop the lady on the phone and be like, buckle up.
Yeah, which is crazy because it's like, by you getting sick, in the end result, you're probably healthier now than you would have been if you didn't get sick.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I think for sure. And that kind of goes back to like even the food education and stuff. I had to learn so much about like diet. I mean, like, I have a master's degree in sports science and stuff. I have some background in that, not like to the level of a nutritionist or a dietitian or anything, but like I thought I knew what it was to have like a healthy diet. But then like learning more and more, it's like, oh, I was doing a lot of stuff that maybe wasn't actually super healthy, or like
the foods you were eating. I don't want to use like clean eating, but you were eating way healthier foods than I was back then, but still looking at like maybe on the fat content and stuff like that, you were probably eating fattier foods and things like that.
Right.
Or things that just more caloric count or things like that, but like you weren't like just pounding ho-hos and things like that at the time, but I remember you ate a lot of yogurt, drank a lot of milk, had granola. What was that? Those granola crisp things we used to eat. Strawberry. Those were really good, but it was probably a little higher caloric count than what you're doing. But
for sure.
But it's not like you were just eating like I eat, or did eat, I should say.
No. But it is funny that you say that because that's kind of what I mean. Like, I still kind of ate like the college football player I was before. I mean, it was still like a lot of calories. It wasn't like a ton of fast food or things like that. Which that's the thing, though, I look back on, too, where it's like I felt like I didn't eat a lot of those things. But it was like, oh, man, if there was a Wendys in sight, probably going to stop and get some Junior Bacon cheeses and crispy chicken nugs.
And you taught me about the peanut butter burger, so I mean, all that good stuff. But
which was a funny transition because that was maybe the hardest thing, which I want to get into a little bit, is sort of like the social aspect of eating. That was sort of the hardest transition, really, was not even so much losing the food, but it was so much a part of like my persona, sort of, that people would be like, oh yeah, like I was a dude who would eat, drink, and be merry, and like
when we hung out, we were making food and eating food.
Right. I mean, I remember people when I really couldn't eat anything, and they were like, well, dude, that was like kind of your thing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, you're telling me. But speaking of that, I guess we'll get into my story for this week was, so Claire swears she remembers before I got sick that I would come home from school or whatever I was coaching, and her and I would sit down on the floor or sit down at the counter and share like a big bowl of cereal, like multi-meal cereal, you know, like whatever sugary cereal in a bag. Which is 100% true. We did that. But it's kind of crazy. I got sick right before she turned 2 years old.
So I was doing the math in my head, thinking like, yeah, she would have been right around 2.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like in her fairly early days of eating a lot of solid, you know, stuff like that. I mean, she was 2, so she'd been, you know, eating that for like a little while. But like, she swears she can remember it. And I don't know if she actually remembers it, like if she's young enough or she's close enough to that memory. You're not really supposed to have memories from that age, or if she sort of constructed the memory. But it's true, we used to do that. I would come home and we'd share a bowl of cereal.
Depending on the type of multi-meal cereal you were eating, it could be very memorable.
Whatever their version of Cinnamon Toast Crunch was like the go-to. Stuff. I love that. But she will still bring that up on occasion. That like, oh, I remember when we could like share cereal together. So for her, it's a big deal for us to be able to share food together. And as I've been able to expand things, like the kids and I can eat a lot more stuff together. There was a while where I was really making food for them, and then I was eating something totally different. We're now like, you know, salads Claire and I share, you know, fruits and things like that. A lot of vegetables from our garden now. But also like we barbecue, like smoked meat and stuff. That's something we can all share. But, you know, Claire is always... Like when I could start drinking like kombucha, she got me for Father's Day or my birthday or something, popsicle makers. Like so you can pour in your own juices like popsicles. Yep. So we made like kombucha popsicles. Like we had some the other day. So it's a big deal for her to share food together. And she loves popcorn. So I hadn't had popcorn with her in years. And I found a brand of popcorn that looked like I could probably eat it. It wasn't made with butter, it was made with avocado oil, and it's like organic, hippie popcorn. So I'm like, I think I can eat this. So I bought some, I told Claire, I'm like, hey, I think I found some microwave popcorn that I could eat with you. And she screamed. She went, yes! And like screamed like it was like she was a character in The Warriors or something, you know? So she was so excited. And I think it was that night then, when we watched a movie that night, we made popcorn and we were able to eat popcorn together, and it was like a big deal. It was like a nice shared moment. So that kind of got me thinking about like that social aspect of eating. Like, do you have anything like that, like from when you were a kid, things that you have sort of an emotional connection to?
Oh, food is just emotional in general, but anybody who drives by my house will still see it and laugh, which is good. I love freezies. Like
like the Freezy Pops?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I was mowing today, and some of Gavin's buddies stopped by, and they were laughing. And I know why they were laughing, because I'm mowing with a Freezy hanging out of my mouth, because that's my thing that I do. But it just, I don't know, Freezy just make me think of when I was a kid, and Mom and Dad were at work, and we'd sneak Freezies all day. But no, it is. I mean, it's... People struggle with conversation nowadays because technology has led us down that path. So I think eating while being around people, I think helps people relax a little bit on that side of it. It keeps you from having to talk the entire time. Or as we went through COVID, you and I would just stare into each other's eyes as we ate our food silently, which was an adjustment.
To clarify that, for any listeners, because of all the mandates at school, and we were in person the whole time, you had to wear your mask until we sat down. Then you could remove your mask to eat, but you were not allowed to talk while eating. So Jason and I would just sit at our table and eat silently, and then like have to occasionally tell kids to not talk while they were eating. So that was
I would always joke we were like a couple who'd been together so long we hated each other, so we just stared each other down as we ate. So.
Yes. Or it's the Sixth Sense, and at the end, Jason finds out I've been dead the whole time.
Either way, it's good lunch company. So no, it's just thinking about, like, it seems weird, like, anytime I eat pudding, I think of, like, birthday parties with the Hannums when we were kids, because they'd always have the giant, I don't know if they still make it anymore, they have to for restaurants, but, like, the giant can of pudding. I don't even know how many ounces it would be, but like they'd crack one of those open.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we're on a podcast. You can't see what I'm doing with my hands, but it was like almost a foot tall. And
again, if you grew up how we did, you've seen the
this
giant, like bigger than a coffee can full of pudding.
Absolutely. That's what it was. Basically, it was a coffee can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's, with the kids, it's, I don't know. I try to have my kids eat a little healthier, but unfortunately I'm a creature of routine. It's like mac and cheese, or like you probably put hot dogs in your mac and cheese when you were a kid.
Oh, yeah. I put hot dogs in Claire's mac and cheese the other day.
So it's funny because like the kids the first time I ever did, they're like, that's so gross. I don't know, it just made me think of being a kid. I don't know, but so that's my thing, is trying, and thank goodness for Rachel, because she is the person who definitely makes everybody eat healthier in our house, but I try to remember, but it's because I grew up not eating a whole lot of healthy stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to remember, like, oh yeah, we need to have healthy stuff when we could have some veggies with our mac and cheese or stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, I guess, I think back to, anytime I'm grilling food or things like that, I think about how, like we used to hang out all the time and do that stuff. And for a while that kind of stunk. And I think you kept how sick you actually were from most of us.
Yeah.
So I'd always try to like get a read from you, but I think you were sicker than even I knew, and maybe some of your family. And, and I mean, I just remember seeing how miserable you were and how much that stunk too. And then I know we've talked about like the people around you almost feeling guilty when they had to eat because we felt bad because we knew you couldn't eat. Right. And we didn't want to make you feel bad, but at the same time, by worrying about not making you feel bad, we probably made you feel bad. So,
well, at this point, that was, I've said again and again, like, I consider all that stuff in the end very beneficial to me for a lot of reasons. A different perspective on life. You maybe as much as anybody talk about old Luke and new Luke, just different in attitude toward life in general. But it's kind of funny, like even with little things where it was like, I remember, because I got really sick in December, beginning of December. So I remember being so upset that I couldn't like eat and drink and stuff like I normally would at Christmas time, because to me that was part of Christmas.
Yep.
We'd get together with my big huge extended family and everybody brings food, and it was eating and drinking with my brothers and stuff like that, and I was really upset by that. And then it was like this transition of like, yeah, it's kind of awkward if you're gonna, like, I didn't want to go to a restaurant or something because especially early on there was probably nothing I could eat on the menu. And then just eventually not caring about that anymore, where it's like I would go to restaurants and like kind of weird out the wait staff. And they'd be like, one for you, and be like, nothing for me. And they'd be like, nothing at all. I'm like, I'm just supervising. And they'd be like, are you serious, man? Like, and I started getting to a point where it's like I just didn't care. I mean, like, I went to Las Vegas not being able to like eat or drink anything. So like landed in Las Vegas, took a taxi to a grocery store to buy food that I could eat, had a room that had like a kitchenette in it, and then like the whole trip I just ate my own food, and like all it is eating and drinking and gambling. None of them are things that I do. Yep. So it's like, yeah, we just kind of get used to that, and I felt bad for other people to be like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm not eating this. So like, I would eat too. If I was you and I could eat that, I would go back for another round.
And still to this day, 8 years later, if we're at a social event, I eat Luke's dessert for him.
Which I appreciate.
As a good friend, it needs to be done.
That's right. Always got my back. I appreciate that. You were talking about, like, associating the pudding with a certain family and their birthday parties. It's funny how that can be a thing, too. How, like, then certain foods can become associated with people. Like, I think of my Aunt Rhonda, who is awesome. And for every reason at their birthday parties, like my cousins, it's Dan and Jeremy.
Okay.
You know Dan and Jeremy. Yep. Their mom, Rhonda. She would make, like, they would have, like, ice cream and, like, regular stuff, too. But she would always make mint brownies.
Oh, nice.
Oh, with, like, it'd be like a chocolate brownie and then, like, the layer of the creme de menthe or whatever it is, the green minty stuff, and then, like, the layer of chocolate kind of frosting on top of that.
That sounds good.
It was so incredibly good. I loved it. I remember even as I got older, like, her making me mint brownies then, like, for my birthday. It's so good. So I associate that with her and those birthday parties. And, like, you kind of knew, like, if it was one of their family birthday parties, like, we're going to have mint brownies. And then she would also have, I want to say it was hot apple cider. Cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Not my thing, but we know you have it.
And it wasn't really my thing either, but I always drank it there because it was like, it's part of the experience, you know? It'd be like, I don't know, it'd be like going to Italy and not eating pasta or something. Like, I had to have some, you know? So, like, I associate that with her and those parties. You have anything else like that? Like something that, like, your mom would make or something that, like, I associate this with this person?
If she listens, Sue Weber and the Hanna family make the best cookies. And I graduated with Sue's son, Chris.
Yeah.
And she would send cookies to school with him. Loved them. I started teaching. Anytime I'd see Chris, we'd talk about it. So when the grandkids, the Hanna kids started coming through school, Sue would send me cookies. So I associate those cookies with Sue. Anytime I see her, she laughs, I laugh, and that's good. You know, I guess, like, Rachel's mom makes peanut butter pie, which is delicious. And my father-in-law does not like peanut butter, so again, I get to eat his, which is good.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound. You will laugh because you know me. I associate my mom with Hamburger Helper. We ate that a lot. That or like a fried egg sandwich. I just love those. Yeah. We had Hamburger Helper today, and the kids loved it. So we don't have it a whole lot, but
Hamburger Helper is good. No complaints there.
Yeah, so that's where I would throw that down, I guess. People probably, if they come over to eat, I like to make them the school's lasagna because I like the way the school makes it. So my friends might be like, oh, he's going to serve us the school lasagna again. They make it with tortilla shells and with like taco seasoning on it, and it is fabulous. It's
really good. Well, the other thing, though, that you actually make that's really good is cheesecake. You're actually a very good, which I've brought up to people, like even students, like they'll talk about cheesecake. I'm like, hang on, you know who makes a really good cheesecake? They're like, no, who? I'm like, Squier. Squier makes a great cheesecake.
I'm not good with the fancy ones. I'm good at I always refer to them as my trashy ones. But it's, when I was head basketball coach, that was my stress relief because I needed something that would just take my mind off during the season. And a cheesecake, to not get it to crack is actually harder than a person would think, and trying to make it not be lumpy and everything. So I always like that challenge. But again, being a kid of the 80s, I like my cheesecake plain with some Hershey's chocolate syrup on it.
Can't argue with
Rachel
that.
would be like, you doing like strawberry or something? It's like, no way.
Got the drizzle.
Get your own health food for this cheesecake.
I know how to plate this.
Oh, thank you. I do enjoy making it. So
that's pretty awesome. I was thinking, like, associating food with, like, your mom is a fairly common thing. The one that I think you have had is her chocolate town pie for, like, Thanksgiving.
And I got the recipe and made my own, too.
Yeah, that's good. For those unaware, chocolate town pie is basically like a big chocolate chip cookie with walnuts. I mean, like, That's basically what it is. It's got walnuts in it and a bunch of chocolate chips, and I don't know what else makes up the
It
consistency.
is like so soft, but yet it was good. Yeah, I got the recipe and I made it, and it was very good.
That's pretty solid, pretty hard to beat. Do you have like a, made me think of, you taking your wife out on your first date to Long John Silver's, but do you have a restaurant or a place to eat that holds a special place in your heart besides Long John Silver's?
So to go on to this story for everybody, so that's how I knew Rachel was the one. We went on our date. We were going to a movie, and for some reason we were like behind schedule. So we drove. Every restaurant we were going to go eat at had just a packed parking lot. And kind of off the cuff, I was like, oh, Long John Silver's isn't busy. And she's like, sure, let's go. So it's like, we ate at Long John Silver's and she stuck around. So I thought, that's good stuff. So that, truthfully, the one that we love, and we are still angry at Mason City to this day. We love Carlos O'Kelly's.
Oh, right.
That was... a chain restaurant, but they had pasta Diablo. I don't think I ever ordered anything different besides that. I had it the first time by chance, every single time I went there, but we loved it. Rachel liked their chips. I mean, all that stuff. And there's like a dispute over rent. They closed it. Now there's a tire store there. So,
which serves less good Diablo.
Yes,
noodles.
it's just not as good. So that would have been our main one. You like to give me crap about this all the time. I love Taco Bell.
You love Taco Bell, which is cool.
It's all about quantity versus quality for this guy. I don't know. And I think, talking about going back to memories, we were talking about this and laughing the other day. When Rachel was in college, Taco Bell was cheap, and it was, as I was finishing up school and she's in school, we didn't have a lot of money to go out to some fancy places. So someone was talking about a very fancy restaurant in Iowa City at the 4th of July. And in my mind referencing, I was like, that was just a few blocks north of the Taco Bell we used to go to, right? Rachel's like, yup.
Drove by on my way to Taco Bell.
I was like, can't afford that place. Here we go for my cheesy chalupa crunch.
What's the name of their, where you get 10 tacos? What was that?
Oh, I can't remember what it is.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. All I can think of is the 6-pack and a pound from Taco John's.
That was coming into my head too. Which 6-pack and a pound, pretty rocking at Taco John's. But that was my go-to at Taco Bell. Was you get whatever the meal was, 10 tacos, and then I would order 5 hard shell, 5 soft shell, and then make your own whatever.
And I said wrong. It was cheesy gordita crunch. I just don't want to get the Taco Bell fans upset with me.
Oh, yeah. There you go. But yeah, I would make my own double tacos.
And until recently, the only place to get Mountain Dew Baja Blast. So
is it readily available now?
It is now. You can buy it in stores.
Nice. So, what color is Baja Blast?
Kind of aqua.
Okay, fair enough. I couldn't remember. It was the bluish one or whatever.
Pretty sure I have one at home if you would need to see it.
What was the popular red one when we were kids?
Code Red.
Code Red. Is that still a thing?
I think so.
Right.
I don't know. True. It's one of those. I really like Code Red.
Yeah.
But if I see it in a store now, I don't oh, Code Red. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Mountain Dew lost me once they started abbreviating Mountain.
That's fair. Is Taco Bell your favorite fast food restaurant?
I would say now, yes. As a kid, most people would say McDonald's. But especially after having kids, I'm McDonald's out for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, Wendys has, for maybe when I was a little kid, I would have liked McDonald's better. But Wendys has been my fast food go-to for. I'm on the Wendys boat.
It's a higher quality fast food. So
yeah, and I like the little things. I like their kids meals, toys a lot better for the kids, and I like Wendys better. But there you go. Wendys, if you're looking to sponsor a podcast with, 6 to 12 listeners,
he's in.
I'm all about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I would say, if I had to choose, I had my row of them, I would probably go Taco Bell.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right on.
Just works for me.
Do you have which totally cool, the sit-down fancier restaurant, less your style, but do you have a more, not even, it doesn't need to be a fancy restaurant, but a more like, not a chain restaurant, like a singular restaurant that you like?
What do you have before?
I have quite a few. Like now, I really like John Hardy's Barbecue in Rochester.
Yep.
As far as close one, I think they have like some of the best, like authentic, straight up barbecue. I like Jethro's down like the Des Moines and that area. As far as barbecue, I can eat a lot of barbecue, so I like that now because it's usually smoked or whatever. Man, I got a few of them. There's I like the Hell's Kitchen, that place in
you told me about that
the
place,
Twin Cities, like for breakfast and stuff. They've got some really cool things. I like, what was I gotta think of it. My cousin Jody. I would go with my cousin Jody up in like St. Paul. It's this little Italian place, like little hole in the wall, but they had just incredible lasagna and manicotti. I really like that stuff. I haven't eaten that stuff in years, but like really like that. The Little Oven. There we go. That's what it's called. The Little Oven.
Barbecue place I'm with you. If you notice my deflection, I wouldn't Luke start name off, so I knew exactly what he was talking. So, because I wouldn't know if it was like single owner or if it was actual like not chain, but more than one. Yeah. I really like Piggy Blues up in Austin.
Oh,
that
yeah,
place
Piggy
is
Blues
really
is
good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Like Olive Garden would be thrown in there, but I know that's more of a chain one. Pasta Bella Mason's good.
Oh,
they do a nice mixture of like more authentic Italian food, and they do some pizza and things like that. I'm trying to think, like there's so many, but yeah, I'm with you. Like any type of barbecue place, I'm probably gonna like it. So
yeah,
and I can't think of one. There's another one down in Des Moines my sister took us to, and I can't think of the name of it, but it was really good too. It was kind of like Jethro's type place.
That's good stuff. I was trying to think if there's any other ones that like pop in. Oh, and like some of them just like it's funny now that like my kids are getting to the age, and your kids are like this age too, where like they start to discover like this is my jam. So like Giordano's in Chicago.
Yep.
There's like the real Chicago style deep dish pizza. We were in Chicago hanging out with my brother Logan and taking the kids around doing Chicago stuff. We're like, well, we gotta go get like deep dish pizza. And Mickey is kind of a picky eater, sort of like you a little bit. I mean, just specific things he doesn't like, textures he doesn't like. So like, we gotta go have this. And he did not want to. He did not want to try it. He was like, let's go get like regular pizza. Like, we're in Chicago.
You gotta try it. Yeah.
Gotta do it. And as soon as he tried it, he became the unofficial spokesperson for Giordano's. We're in the restaurant. And he's like waxing poetic. You're like, this is the best thing I've ever had in my life. And so he loved it. And they will actually ship frozen Giordano's to your house.
Oh, nice.
So we've done it once because it's not cheap. But they'll send them in a cooler with dry ice or whatever and come, and it gives you the instructions to cook them. I wasn't sure how well they would turn out, but they're actually, the instructions are perfect. Again, I don't eat that stuff, but it looked good. Mickey said it tasted the same as the restaurant. I don't know, but we did it once.
Once you mentioned Chicago, every time we went there when Rachel's cousin lived there, 11 City Diner. It was right downtown, and it was so good.
Nice.
Real, like challah bread was the main thing that they had. So good. I mean, that was, anytime we were there, we made sure we went there. And Rain loves rib crib. So,
that's good.
I'm trying to think, like,
get behind that.
Gavin he's pretty good at wherever. He loves Subway, which is, again, I'm starting to not enjoy Subway anymore just because I've had it enough. But Rain, if we're in Mason, she wants rib crib every time. So, which I appreciate.
It's fun when there's like different areas. I like seeing the food of different cities or whatever, like Chicago, the deep dish pizza, or again, when I ate everything, like the Chicago style hot dog I always like, because it's everything on it, and like the big pickle spear on it, like that's great. Or like when we were out in New York, like going to Little Italy and eating there, like getting the cannoli on the street corner, like walking into the New York style pizza, very different than Chicago. It's the big slice you kind of fold in half.
Yep.
Like I think we did that the night we got into New York. Like, so that stuff I really like too. Again, I don't eat those things, but it is nice that there's more stuff I can eat in the world these days too. It's like when we're out west, there's a lot more stuff. There's a lot. I mean, you go to a regular grocery store, it's a lot of organic, and grass-fed, and whatever. So that's pretty cool.
As we slowly build Luke back up, he knows when he can eat real, when I call it real food, it's really should be called fake real food.
Yeah.
He knows I am buying him whatever buffet he wants. That offer will be on the table for the rest of my life. So.
And then it'll be like the Simpsons episode where it's like, you said it was all you could eat. And like trying to get him out. They're going to close the restaurant. Just be on the news. Local teacher shut down a good buffet. That is something that's pretty hard to beat. What was your favorite buffet place?
I know which one I hated.
What did you hate?
Royal Fork in Mason City.
We went to Royal Fork. In Mason City in the day, there was two. Golden Corral, which is sort of a chain around.
Yes, yep.
And then the Royal Fork, which I don't know if that was the
I think it was a
only
one-off,
Royal
yeah.
Fork, but there was two at the time, and it's like we would alternate. Again, it was cheap. A lot of foods. It was like Royal Fork night or
and
Golden
Bonanza.
Corral. And Bonanza too. Bonanza to me, which is not a fancy restaurant.
Nope.
Seemed a touch fancier because remember you could order a meat at the beginning.
Yes.
Like actually order it. Like you'd walk in, grab your tray, and you could order a chicken or a steak or something at the beginning. And in my head, I thought it was fancy. So I remember my mom would order this chicken breast, which I got to imagine was like just the pre-cooked frozen chicken breast because it had the perfect square grill line marks on it,
bet.
And like that probably didn't actually come from a grill. Like we're on there, and in my head as a kid, I thought, well, this is fancy. there are lines on this chicken, and I also thought the lines were to let you know where to cut. I'm like, wow, how fancy is this? The chicken comes with
nowhere to go.
Pre-cut lines.
reason why I don't like Royal Fork. So I apparently was training to be a school teacher and eat in 15 minutes or less basically my whole life because we'd go to those places, I'd eat what I was wanted, I'm good.
Yeah.
My sister always picked Royal Fork. I like Bonanza better. My mom hated me because when I was little, I would go there, I'd eat so fast and so much, I'd always be like, I gotta puke. So like she still tells me how about Bonanza one time. She had me like in the parking lot, and I was like, I don't feel good. And so buffets weren't my thing back then because my sister was older than me, but she'd always pick Royal Fork, and I'd finish. I'd be like, oh, take forever. Like we ate, let's leave. But I still in my head I can see like. I kind of remember the setup of Royal Fork, but I just remember the guy at the end with the fancy, I'll cut you the meat at the end.
Yeah,
yep.
When you got to the end of the line at Royal Fork, there was a guy with the knife and the fork who would carve off the Seuss-esque roast beef.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was like roast beef, and I forget what else, but I just remember.
I think there was a ham and there was a roast beef.
There we go. I couldn't remember the other one, but I just remember as a kid, I'm like, I don't want either of those. Like, where's my chicken strips or whatever?
See, I would get to the end and it'd be like, the beef or the ham. It's like, oh, sir, I'm going to need both. It was the lap of luxury.
So I don't want to, if you're affiliated with Royal Fork or where, I don't want you to think that I'm against the restaurant itself. It was just a time commitment that I didn't like.
If anyone listening to this is in any way affiliated with the Royal Fork, I expect you to get a hold of us. I would like to do an episode on the Royal Fork. I'd like to do an episode in the Royal Fork.
Yes, we want some inside stories on the Royal Fork.
We will broadcast exclusively from a Royal Fork. Royal Fork Studios brings you the Luke Nielsen podcast.
That would be great.
That would be awesome.
So yeah, buffet wise now, like I suppose most people would choose Pizza Ranch or
Pizza
China
Ranch
Buffet,
is
maybe.
Good. Yeah, Pizza Ranch is pretty solid.
Pizza Ranch always makes me laugh. It's like, hey, I'm going to Pizza Ranch for their buffet, but the last thing I'm going to choose off their buffet is pizza.
See, I
like their cheesy breadsticks.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would always get quite a bit of pizza. When I was an athletic director, that's where we'd have our AD meetings, or we'd have them like in a building near a Pizza Ranch, so we could go to the Pizza Ranch buffet. But yeah, their ranch sticks.
Those, and then the cactus
solid.
bread I love, but the pizza has gotten better, but I just remember right away having it being like, why are you called Pizza Ranch? Because I don't want your pizza.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, but I guess buffet-wise, we don't go there often unless the kids really wanted to, and then after COVID hit, we kind of were a little leery of buffets, but...
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm trying to think. When I was in college, it was like an all-time great buffet. I have no idea where we were at because I played football in college, so it was one of our road trips. I don't remember who we were playing. I don't remember where we were at, but we're taking our 2 big charter buses down, and then a lot of times they would have like a restaurant reserved for us,
Okay.
or part of a restaurant closed off for us. Don't know where we were, but we walk into this place and it was a buffet, but it was like a grill and barbecue buffet. So you walked up like we were talking about at Bonanza, where you could order like your first bit of meat, but this was like legit. It was all open, and they had these big fire grills going.
Oh, nice.
And it was like all this steak and all this chicken, and they had it kind of parceled out all over these big grills, and you could walk up and be like, "Oh, I want steak rare," and they're like, "Here's a rare one ready to go," or
Nice.
medium or well done. Like they had them all kind of parceled
Okay.
and throw them on there. They were good, and then you would get to like the regular buffet part. But it was like barbecue type stuff. I mean, it was ribs, and I'm sure they had like pulled pork. Or I just remember it was like
Oh, that sounds so good.
all that sort of stuff. We'd hammer on it, and then I remember they had like an ice cream sundae buffet like in the middle, where you could get your, I think it was soft serve, but then they had like all the toppings.
Okay.
And again, I just thought it was fancy. They had the aerosol whipped cream, but on ice, like it was champagne. It was just glorious. So you're rolling with an entire college football team, and we're just destroying like this place, especially the linemen. We're sitting down as like offensive, defensive linemen, just hammer, like to the point where our coaches are like, "Guys, we do have to play a tackle football game tomorrow." We're like, "This is your fault. You brought us here.
You should have taken us somewhere else.
Yeah.
Did they frown on you as you put the whipped cream in your mouth on the buffet line? Or?
It probably would have been uncouth, but that was like having spent a period of my life as a like college football lineman. A big part of that is just eating, So we had a lot of food experiences in that period of my life, like the time, which I'm sure I've told you the story, where we got the standing ovation from the kitchen staff
Yes.
at an IHOP. Like, that's a pretty big deal. For endless shrimp, nonetheless. Not,
But it's just even
not
funnier.
for pancakes or anything. But
So I gotta flip the table on you.
Mm-hmm.
So, one food that you miss, like if I could go and eat any food that I can't eat now, what would I eat? Mm-hmm. And then 2, what's a food you're feeling like you're getting brave enough to try?
that's good. I will say, like, sincerely, in terms of missing, I really don't feel like I miss anything anymore. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if all of a sudden, like, tomorrow I could eat everything, there's stuff I would go try, so I'll talk about that. But, like, early on, it was, like, missing food. I think mostly because of the social aspect. Like, I miss this thing. I miss this being part of the experience. And that's kind of something that I realized was that, like, yeah, I mean, I like the deliciousness of food. But more often than not, it was the social aspect or the feeling associated, like not like the satiated full feeling, but like the emotional connection to it. And when I realized that's what I was missing, and that, like, I also realized, well, I can still have the social aspect. I don't need the food or the drink or the whatever. That getting past that was like great. Then I didn't really miss food. Then it was just sort of like exciting to add food. I wasn't like pining for anything. And like in some ways good. Like, not that I was like a like heavy drinker, but like I was always like, if we were doing something, like I was gonna drink some alcohol and stuff like that, where like I have no desire to drink anymore. Like that's something people bring up. It's like I brewed my own beer and stuff for a while, and it was like I just have no desire. Like I figured out the social component without it and don't really feel I need it. But that all being said,
we do this.
Yeah, if all of
what
a sudden...
What are you going to?
Man, you know, I think it would be like a road trip, you know, so I could associate like the food with a place. Like I would like to just go to like a Chicago again and like hammer out the deep dish pizza, get a hot dog, or like go to a ball game and have like a ball game hot dog, like something like that. Nothing even necessarily super fancy, but like that I can just associate with a place, you know. So I think it would be that. I would probably go to like a Chicago or a New York, hit up some of those like sorts of things. So yeah, I'll go with pizza if I had to pick one thing. Pizza's pretty good.
Yes, it is.
So like if it's one general thing, pizza, because you can do a lot with that too.
And pizza's crazy as you get older too, because like I love pizza, but I definitely have had to cut down on eating pizza often because it takes like 3 days for that to really like just the sodium of pizza to get out of your system. But
don't recover
it's
from
crazy
pizza as quickly. That's true.
So what's something you want to try sometime soon? Since I am your number 2 at prodding you on this.
Yeah. I know what I've most recently kind of added, other than like the occasional like popcorn thing, is like fruit. You know, and not even all sorts of fruit. That's another thing I learned a lot about is certain fruits have certain types of sugars in them. Certain sugars are more easily digestible than others. So like even as you start adding back in fruits, some of the other, you know, FODMAPs is a big thing. It's an acronym that stands for certain types of like sugars and stuff that come in certain foods. So even certain fruits and vegetables have certain sugars that are harder to break down or irritate your gut more or whatever. So I've been adding back in some fruits lately, not eating a ton of that because that's another thing. Like I really have no desire to eat refined sugar ever again either. And even like fruit, I don't plan to eat like tons of it, but it's nice to have a little, you know, little sugar from the fruit, whatever. So I've been doing like, I'll make a salad from our garden now, since Claire and I have been gardening, like get our fresh greens and then throw some blueberries and raspberries on there, throw some nuts on there, drizzle some olive oil on there. Like, that's pretty tasty. So I think just trying some things like that where I can have like the occasional fruit or something is nice.
I'm just imagining you having like refined sugar and the rampage you would go on. Like if you found out your body could tolerate it again, you would. I would drive by and you'd be mowing your lawn at 3 a.m. Well,
that's the thing. Like I'm a fairly like energetic, active guy to begin with, where it's like, oh wow, yeah, like I really don't need to reintroduce things like sugar or caffeine or anything like that. But yeah, I don't know. Trying to think if there's anything else that I would really like try to go after. That's the thing, like I'm really pretty happy with what I can eat. I would like to be able to eat more just to sort of have the ability to eat more. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep. Have you tried any type of dairy stuff recently? Because I know that's a big irritant. But...
Yeah, I have not. And that's kind of another thing is like, I don't really have a desire to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't, even if I could get back to these things, I really don't think I'll ever regularly, just by choice, go back to consuming dairy or bread or most, like, what they call cereal grains.
Yeah.
I just don't think I will from a lot of the stuff I've kind of learned through trial and error and through research and stuff. Like, I really like my diet now is really what most people probably should eat. You know, I do eat meat. You know, there's people can go back and forth on that, but like I do Butcher Box. That's another great thing. So I get the grass-fed, the no antibiotic, whatever meats. I like to do that. I can eat potatoes. Put butter and stuff on them, but like we'll fry potatoes, like bake them, but like do them as kind of fried potato style with the olive oil and stuff. Or like we do a lot of baked potatoes, like to the point where like the kids and I have baked potatoes for breakfast. Like do baked potato, like kind of bust that up. The kids have butter on theirs. I'll drizzle olive oil, salt and pepper. Throw some bacon on there, so I can eat bacon if it's like uncured stuff. Throw some bacon, or I'll even cut up like some steak or something, throw that on there. Throw a couple fried eggs on top of that. Whoo, like that's pretty good.
Does sound good.
So like I'm pretty happy with my diet that way, and I also like it's been nice getting back to a little bit of that communal experience with cooking and eating, where like I like cooking for people. It's like where I can barbecue and cook and enjoy it with people. And my kids and I, we do a lot of that, so that's been nice. And I don't know. So I don't know if, like, I'm pretty happy with what I can eat now.
Like, it stinks how it happened for you, but I think about that sometimes. Like, if I had to do like you, my problem is like I don't like the taste of it. I have texture issues too.
Right.
So like fruits, I love apples. I try to venture a little bit and try some different fruits and stuff, but vegetables aren't my big thing. But I'm like, if I was forced to do that, eventually you're going to like those things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it stinks that you had to go about it that way, but at the same time, it's like, man, if I had to do it that way, well, it's either eat this stuff or feel like garbage forever. So,
yeah.
So that's where it's like, so I was telling you earlier, like, I ate a bowl of oatmeal this morning, and it was awful. Sorry, I know we're in the big oatmeal capital. It just doesn't taste good to me, but I'm still going to keep eating it because I need to work on my cholesterol. And eventually I think my taste buds will adjust and it will be okay. But it's hard when it's like, hey, I can drink a Mountain Dew. So for you don't have those shocking things hitting your system at the time, which I think helped too, is you didn't go from a healthier, I don't want to use the word bland, sorry again, oatmeal, but like go from the...
I like the idea of oatmeal being upset that you called it bland.
It's angry at me. But like going from that to like having something that's super sweet or super flavorful, where for you, as you were building back, you couldn't eat stuff with a lot of flavor. It was more the what could my system handle type of deal, where that would help that transition because you're forced to versus want to, if that makes sense. So
no, that really was a kind of a nice thing too, where it's like it was fun as I got better and was able to add things, because it's like mind-blowing how delicious some stuff was, where it's like, oh my goodness, like one thing that I snack on like chips now is sugar snap peas. Oh man, sugar snap peas are so good.
I can't remember what food it was at lunch, but you were like, I had this and it was amazing. It's like, wow, I would not eat that on purpose, but I'm glad it works for you.
Or like baby carrots, and I like the baby ones because again I can eat them in one bite like a chip. But peanut butter I've been able to eat because I know peanuts are like a legume.
I'm so happy you're back to peanut butter.
Yeah. But I do like an all-natural peanut butter that's only ingredient is like peanuts, or sometimes like some added sea salt, whatever. But, which by the way, the trick for the natural peanut butter, because it separates, you get the liquid on top. And I looked this up. This is not my invention. But when you go to put it in the fridge, you don't have to, normally you don't have to put peanut butter in the fridge, but put it in the fridge. It'll help solidify it a little bit. But put it in upside down.
Huh?
So then the oil's working its way through it, so when you open it up, you don't have the oil on top.
Oh, nice.
You got the chunky peanut butter part on top.
Excellent.
Incredible.
I love peanut butter, so that makes me very happy that you can eat peanut butter again.
No doubt. So, anyway, those are good little things.
Nice.
We've talked for quite a while. I like to usually throw it in the middle, a random weird sponsor that isn't really a sponsor. It's just something that I decided is sponsoring the show for this episode. So this episode is brought to you by foods that are prepared warm but are also good cold. That's our sponsor for today. All foods that are prepared warm, but are maybe as good, sometimes better cold. So as sort of our last thing, do you have any foods for you that are, they're made as hot foods, but you can rock them cold?
It would probably be some type of dessert. Like I'm not a big apple pie guy or like an apple crisp, but if I had to eat that, I would want it cold, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, fruit pie, that's a good pick.
Like, I know a lot of people like pizza cold.
Yeah.
I like pizza warm, but it's good. But
I generally prefer pizza hot, but I would say pizza could fall in that category, depending on the pizza too. But you can eat a cold slice of pizza. That's a good one. One that I used to eat all the time is I prefer my chocolate chip pancakes cold.
I could go with that.
So, like, I still make my kids chocolate chip pancakes a lot, but that used to be one of our things we would make, like, on the weekends, chocolate chip pancakes. And I'd really do them up, like, real hearty, too. Like, I might throw some peanut butter in there. I might throw some oatmeal in there. Get just a real dense chocolate chip pancake and full of chocolate chips. But then the kids would eat them hot, and I would wait for them. I would even throw them in the fridge to cool them off. And then I would eat them without syrup, just put chunky peanut butter and eat them that style. So that's something I prefer cold. Sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. Love them.
I know you do.
Eat them all the time. I like them warm, but I also really love a cold sweet potato. I mean, like, after it's been cooked, and then you chill it. Man, it's like a sorbet.
I like them better when you take them and throw them back into nature to compost.
Love me a good sweet potato.
So to go totally opposite of our sponsor, and Rachel finds this the weirdest thing that I do, but I found out my dad does it too. I like ice cream not to be super hard. So drives Rachel nuts. I will microwave my ice cream. I don't want it soup.
I get that.
So we were talking about it the one day, and Rachel asked my mom and dad. My dad's like, "Heck yeah, you do that." So I'm like, "See?" So I go opposite. Sometimes I like to.
I like that. Do you ever, when you were a kid, like you'd get the, like the hard dish out ice cream, and then basically, like with your spoon, just stir it until it turned into kind of soft serve consistency?
Vanilla ice cream, put some Hershey syrup. Yeah. Hershey, sponsor us. So I'd do that, and then I'd call it ice cream soup.
Yeah, I think we call it ice cream soup too. And ice cream soup is good.
Yeah.
You know what? We've joked about some actual company sponsor, but a real, probably future sponsor for this is ice cream soup. Look for it in an upcoming episode brought to you by Ice Cream Soup. On that note, we'll go ahead and end this episode. Thanks for joining me, man. This is fun.
Let's be honest, I'm going to be back.
Recurring guest host, Jason Squier. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Much love. We'll be seeing you.